most interesting about the Monken thing update for Cleveland. A key pressure point is the John Harbaugh dismissal, according to those familiar with today's discussions, was his refusal to entertain any conversations about potentially moving on from offensive coordinator Todd Monken. Harbaugh didn't want to get rid of Monken.
John Harbaugh, a Super Bowl winning coach, was just fired from the Baltimore Ravens. The reason? His absolute unyielding refusal to even consider moving on from offensive coordinator Todd Monken. Let that sink in. An NFL organization explicitly told a decade-long championship-winning head coach they needed to discuss his coordinator, and his loyalty to Monken was so fierce, he chose to lose his own job instead. This wasn't a mutual parting, it was a bombshell dismissal that sent shockwaves through the entire league, proving just how invaluable Monken truly is. The Ravens kicked him to the curb because he wouldn't let his guy go. It's a level of loyalty and a price paid that signals a seismic shift.
Does their coaching search basically get narrowed down only then to people who believe in Shedeur Sanders?
I think there's a strong possibility that they would try to do whatever they can to support Shedeur Sanders and make sure that he has a coach and a coaching staff that are going to maximize his ability, maximize his potential, and do whatever they can to bring out the best in him and focus just on his strengths and his abilities and really just do whatever they can to help him become a franchise quarterback.
Now, here's where the Cleveland Browns enter this unprecedented NFL drama. While the rest of the league thinks this is just another coaching search, Cleveland is quietly assembling an all-star staff designed with one singular, audacious goal: developing Shedeur Sanders. Yes, that Shedeur Sanders. They've requested interviews with 5 different head coach candidates, but this isn't random. Every single one is being built to develop one player, making a power move nobody saw coming. This isn't about general coaching, it's about a laser-focused, QB-centric revolution.
The Browns are going to request an interview. They have requested to interview Todd Monken, the Baltimore Ravens' current offensive coordinator, who no longer has a head coach, John Harbaugh, with him. This was an interesting one here. You know, I gave you guys that update from Ian Rappaport, right, that Todd Monken has received a request to interview for the Browns head coach job. He actually received multiple requests last year, and according to Rappaport, he should, again, this will be one of them.
Think about it.
The Browns' entire coaching search essentially narrows down to people who profoundly believe in Shedeur Sanders. They're committed to doing whatever it takes to support him, ensuring he gets a coaching staff that maximizes his abilities and potential. This isn't just hiring a head coach, it's meticulously crafting an environment to bring out the absolute best in him, focusing solely on his strengths to help him become a franchise quarterback. Cleveland is going all in on a specific vision for their future, and Shedeur is unequivocally at its core. This strategy is bold, perhaps even risky, but undeniably brilliant.
Do you think Jim Schwartz, this is a question people were asking a couple years ago too, do you think Jim Schwartz deserves a look as a head coach, and would he be interested if so?
Yes, he would be interested. He has told us that. And I do think he deserves a look as a head coach. But sometimes when the ship has sailed, the ship has sailed. Now, sometimes the ship comes back in, right? I mean, Pete Carroll is out in Vegas right now. Didn't go very well this year, but
First up on Cleveland's list is Dan Pitcher, the Cincinnati Bengals offensive coordinator. For those wondering, Pitcher was Joe Burrow's quarterback coach from 2020 to 2023, molding him into arguably the best pure talent quarterback in the NFL today. We're talking 43 touchdowns, nearly 5,000 yards in a stellar season. That's not luck. That's elite development and coaching. Pitcher knows how to maximize a cerebral quarterback skill set, building an offense around precision, pocket presence, and reading defenses. Qualities Shedeur Sanders shares with Burrow. His track record speaks volumes about his QB development genius.
That's, I think, the most interesting part of the Monken interview is, can this please lead to a John Harbaugh interview? I guarantee you the Browns have called about Harbaugh. We heard that 7 teams called John Harbaugh within the first 45 minutes of his firing. That's from Adam Schefter. There are 7 teams with head coach openings, including the Ravens. So the Browns surely are on that list to call up John, who grew up a Browns fan, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, Cleveland requested to interview Aiden Dirty.
But Pitcher isn't just a random name on a list. He has direct, powerful ties to Cleveland's general manager, Andrew Berry. Both worked together in the Colts scouting department from 2012 to 2015. Berry knows Pitcher personally, trusts him implicitly, and has watched him transform a college quarterback into an MVP-caliber NFL player. If the Browns are truly building a team around Shedeur Sanders, who better to hire than the man who just developed the most talented quarterback in football? This isn't just an interview, it's a reunion with proven success, strategically aligning with Cleveland's ultimate goal.
Out of the names that they have requested to interview, who's your favorite? Who do you like on that list? Comment down below. You can comment John Harbaugh if you want to, because I guarantee you they've called him, but they haven't requested to interview him. So be the GM for me. Put a name in that comment section. You let me know. And while you're down there, find some of my social links.
Shedeur's game thrives on precision, pocket presence, and dissecting defenses. The exact same strengths that define Joe Burrow. Pitcher knows how to build an offense that maximizes such a skill set, making him an ideal fit for Shedeur. At only 38 years old, Pitcher represents the young, offensive-minded genius the Browns desperately need. While Zach Taylor calls the plays in Cincinnati, Pitcher was the true QB whisperer behind Burrow's meteoric rise. Cleveland would undoubtedly give him play-calling duties, and pairing his expertise with Shedeur's football IQ could forge a championship formula. The Browns are also interviewing their own offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees. Now, many are quick to point out the team's struggling offense this year, but was that Rees's fault or Kevin Stefanski forcing an outdated playbook on him? Here's the critical detail most people overlook. Rees, only 33, is viewed as a rising offensive genius. He interviewed for the Penn State head coaching job and was considered for the UNC job before Bill Belichick intervened. Major programs want this guy, recognizing his immense talent despite Cleveland's recent offensive woes. The most crucial piece of Rees's resume for the Browns and Shedeur Sanders, he worked under Nick Saban at Alabama as an offensive coordinator in 2023. Alabama isn't just a football program, it's a factory for NFL quarterback. Bryce Young, Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts, all Saban products. Rees learned from the very best how to prepare quarterbacks for the next level, mastering the intricate system of developing pro-ready talent. Imagine Shedeur, who already plays with a pro-level poise, being coached by someone with intimate knowledge of the Alabama quarterback machine. That's not just development, it's an unfair advantage. Now for the elephant in the room. Todd Monken, the Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator. We now know John Harbaugh was fired because he refused to let Monken go. This shocking loyalty reveals everything about Monken's value. A Super Bowl winning coach, a decade-long presence in Baltimore, was willing to sacrifice his own job rather than lose his offensive coordinator. That's a profound testament to Monken's brilliance, and the Browns were the first team to request an interview with him. Seeing what others were sleeping on, Cleveland recognizes a once-in-a-generation talent. Monken's 2023 Ravens offense was absolutely phenomenal. Lamar Jackson won MVP under his system, which was explosive, creative, and unpredictable. Even in 2024, when Lamar faced injury, the offense remained competitive, battling for the division until the final week. Monken possesses an unparalleled ability to scheme around elite talent, maximizing a dual-threat MVP. If Shedeur Sanders comes to Cleveland, having an offensive coordinator who just achieved that level of success with a dynamic QB is the kind of chess move that can transform a franchise overnight. This is not just a hire, it's a statement. Here's where the Browns are playing multi-dimensional chess. If they hire Monken, there's a very real possibility they could also bring in John Harbaugh as head coach. Harbaugh, a Super Bowl winner, just got fired for refusing to let Monken go. He grew up a Browns fan. The scenario unfolds. Browns interview Monken. Harbaugh sees Cleveland is serious about his guy, and the Browns then call Harbaugh, offering him his childhood team with Monken as his elite offensive coordinator. This isn't just speculation, it's a strategically viable, game-changing possibility that could reshape the entire franchise's future. Imagine this, a Super Bowl winning head coach in John Harbaugh, an elite offensive coordinator in Todd Monken, and Jim Schwartz, who's kept the Browns defense ranked 4th in the league, all working together to develop Shedeur Sanders. That's not merely a coaching staff, that's a dynasty in the making. The best part, Schwartz is under contract, so the Browns can block any team from poaching him as a coordinator. They can maintain that elite defense while building an offensive powerhouse around their future franchise quarterback. This trifecta is the ultimate championship blueprint. Speaking of Schwartz, the Browns are also giving him a head coaching interview, and frankly, he absolutely deserves it. What he's accomplished with Cleveland's defense this year has been nothing short of incredible. Ranking 4th in total defense, 3rd in passing defense, and showcasing elite D-line play. All this in a season where the offense gave them virtually nothing to work with. Schwartz has prior head coaching experience, led a team to the playoffs, and was the Eagles' defensive coordinator when they won the Super Bowl in 2018. This man knows how to win at the highest level. The beautiful strategic play here is that the Browns don't necessarily have to promote Schwartz to keep him. He's under contract, meaning no team can interview him for a coordinator position without Cleveland's permission, and currently no other team is actively trying to hire him as a head coach. So the Browns can interview him, show immense respect, perhaps offer a raise, and then transparently state their intention to hire an offensive-minded head coach, while explicitly requesting he remain to run the defense. Schwartz, a true professional, would likely accept, continuing to build something special. Envision this scenario. The Browns secure an offensive genius like Dan Pitcher or Tommy Rees, or even land the unprecedented Harbaugh-Monken combo. Simultaneously, they retain Jim Schwartz, who consistently runs a top-tier defense. Then with a top 5 pick, they draft Shedeur Sanders. Suddenly, Cleveland boasts an elite QB coach meticulously developing their franchise quarterback, an elite defensive quarter maintaining a top 5 defense, and a young team brimming with championship potential. This isn't a rebuild, it's a strategic reload, transforming a 5-win team into a playoff contender in a single offseason. Here's why this entire coaching search perfectly aligns with Shedeur Sanders specifically. Every single offensive candidate the Browns are interviewing shares one critical commonality. They are quarterback developers. Pitcher nurtured Burrow. Rees learned directly from Saban's legendary system. Monken maximized Lamar Jackson's MVP season. These aren't defensive-minded coaches hoping to figure out the offense later. They are offensive masterminds specializing in making quarterbacks look elite. Shedeur doesn't need generic coaching. He needs someone who fundamentally understands the position and can elevate his game from college star to NFL MVP candidate. Oh, and let's not forget the Browns also requested to interview Aiden Durde, the Seattle Seahawks defensive coordinator. While Durde is undeniably a great coach, leading Seattle's defense to first in opponent points per game and second in yards per play, he's likely not a serious candidate for Cleveland's head coaching vacancy. The Browns' clear need is an offense-first approach. However, this interview demonstrates Cleveland's meticulous homework. They are interviewing the best minds in football, both offensive and defensive, to ensure they make the absolutely right decision for the franchise's future. The genius of this coaching staff assembly transcends even Shedeur Sanders. Even if the Browns don't draft Shedeur, even if they decide to stick with Deshaun Watson for another year or bring in a veteran, the coaching staff they're building is fundamentally designed to maximize quarterback play. This is the cornerstone of every successful NFL team. You build around the QB, secure the right coaches to develop him, surround him with weapons and protection, and then you let him cook. Cleveland is laying a foundation that prioritizes elite quarterback performance, regardless of who takes the snaps. If the Browns do draft Shedeur and pair him with one of these offensive masterminds, things get genuinely terrifying for the rest of the AFC North. Suddenly, the Browns aren't just aiming to compete, they're aiming to dominate. Think about the landscape. The Bengals have Burrow and Taylor, the Steelers are in flux, and the Ravens just fired Harbaugh and might be rebuilding. The AFC North is wide open, a power vacuum waiting to be filled. If Cleveland nails this coaching hire and drafts the perfect quarterback, they could realistically own this division for the next decade, building an enduring legacy. This coaching search is far more than just finding someone to win a few games. It's about identifying the precise leader to cultivate a franchise quarterback, forge a championship culture, and transform the Cleveland Browns into consistent contenders. The fate of the entire organization hinges on this decision, whether that quarterback ultimately becomes Shedeur Sanders or another talent. The coaching foundation they are meticulously constructing right now will determine everything, setting the trajectory for years to come. This is a moment of profound significance for Cleveland. For a Shedeur Sanders fan, this potential situation in Cleveland is nothing short of a dream. There's arguably no better environment in football right now for a young quarterback to step into, an elite coaching staff specifically tailored for QB development, a top 5 defense providing crucial support, and an organization utterly desperate for a winner. The pieces are all perfectly aligned, a rare alignment of talent, strategy, and opportunity. The question isn't whether the potential is there, but whether Cleveland can seize it and put them all together. If Cleveland manages to pull off the Harbaugh-Monken-Schwartz trifecta and then strategically drafts Shedeur Sanders, the rest of the NFL better watch out. That wouldn't just be a coaching staff. That would be a complete, undeniable championship blueprint. This is the kind of audacious, high-stakes move that changes franchises overnight, not just for a season, but for an entire era. It's a calculated gamble with the potential for an astronomical payoff, rewriting the narrative of a long-suffering franchise. So, Browns fans and football fanatics, the question looms large. If you were the GM, who are you hiring? The architect of Joe Burrow's dominance? The young genius forged under Nick Saban? The coordinator John Harbaugh literally sacrificed his job to protect? Or are you swinging for the fences, attempting to unite Harbaugh, Monken, and Schwartz, then pairing them with Shedeur Sanders? The decisions made in the coming weeks will not just shape a season, but define a legacy, determining if the Cleveland Browns finally ascend to consistent NFL dominance.